And gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Collaborate and Pull Together, a podcast where we highlight all things positive on and off tail. And today we have a very special guest joining us. Gentlemen, Matt Cassioli of Haven PT. He's out of upstate New York. Welcome, man. Thank you for actually being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
A new thing this year. This half of the year, I've been having new my guests actually in person.
Yeah.
Which makes a world of difference. It changes the whole feel, changes the whole dynamic, makes it a lot more fun, in my opinion. I thoroughly enjoy it.
Well, it's a great thing that the island is very close to everywhere.
That is why we're getting a little bit of a delayed start, ladies and gentlemen. We do live on Long Island. It is a little hard to get to, but he's here. That's all that matters.
That's right.
We're here in one piece and safely. Right. I just want to do an audio check, make sure everything looks good, and we're firing away. So, Matt, before we get into your PT and what you got into with physical therapy, how did you find the sport of arm wrestling?
Oh, that was wonderful. So, as we all back in the 80s, there was Over the Top, right? So everybody, we were all arm wrestling, young kids doing our thing. But in New York at the time, nothing existed. You had like Wide World of Sports from the 70s, all that, but just didn't exist. So, we played for that whole year and then nothing forever. Now, fast forward to 2013, Game of Arms is out. And, they happen to have a New York team. So I the calling was there. So I said, we have the internet now. There's got to be a way to find these guys. Because back in the day, you would go in the phone book and nothing would say arm wrestling. Nothing. So you were just dead in the water. I didn't even know it was a thing. So, I called up the number that was there that I found online. It was Gene Camp, the godfather of arm wrestling for New York since 1977. And, I called him up. I said, I'm a guy upstate New York and I want to be a part of this. So he said, come on down. And so I go to Gene Camp's house, and he's the coolest guy. He's got the glasses. He's totally down to earth. But it was towards the end of his career because he was already getting out.
Yep.
So he goes, Matt. He goes, here's a table, here's some chalk, and here's some straps. He goes, now go and arm wrestle some people, and then he says, and and then he says, well, go, he goes, Jason Vale, he goes, he's in Long Island. He says, I'll hook you up with him, and go train with him. So I was like, great, that sounds like a plan. So I said, so I went back upstate New York, about an hour and a half, whatever it was. And everybody I could get my hands on, I would arm wrestle. And the PT world, I was, training people. We were already kind of well established up where we were. So people were, they were a dime a dozen to practice with. And here I am. Everybody's thinking, I know what I'm doing. So I'm like, I don't have a clue what I'm doing. So, a couple of weeks later, I was finally able to get down to a practice. And, then it just took off from there. So that's kind of how it started. And
that's,
man.
I think that's a tale of pretty much you see something on the internet, you see something online, or even on TV, something, I know there was a time where ESPN highlighted a lot of arm wrestling. And it just kind of gets the creative juices going, and you gotta. I want a piece of this.
Yeah. Oh my God. And it's such a cult, and I come from a very physical background from sports, hockey. I was a fighter back in my 30s, from issues. But this was the greatest way to get into a fight without getting a concussion or arrested. So I said, this is amazing.
I don't like getting punched in the face.
I don't.
think many people do, per se. So this is where I can fight and get that fighting experience without, that
it was
occupational hazard.
It's a very refreshing experience, to say the least.
Absolutely. So you had mentioned, physical therapy. We know that you're a physical therapist.
That's right.
This is the company right
let's
here.
Do some plug-in right there, little Haven PT.
So Haven PT, and we're gonna go ahead and plug in that website too while we're here. So if you have a phone, you're watching. Take your phone out, take a scan, a picture of what's on the screen, or take a screenshot if you're watching on your phone. This will take you directly to Haven PT's website. Tell me, how did you find PT? How long have you been PT? And how has that helped and impacted your whole arm wrestling career?
Well, just a little caveat: the website is under construction, so it will be brand new as we go. So you might see the old we still have the masks and stuff from the back in the COVID. So my buddies are like, nobody wears masks. I said, it's changing. But so back to the PT. Just again, luck of the draw. I was a very physical kid, playing sports and in school and stuff. And a buddy of mine had come back from college, and he was asking me, he goes, what do you want to do? And I said something in the sports world, and he says, well, why don't you try physical therapy? And this is back in 1992, I think it was.
Okay.
And, again, nobody even knew what that was at the time. It was still a 4-year degree at that point. but it was converting to master's level. So, you know, I researched where he was going to school, and you know, just it was the right thing at the right time. You know, it was either going to be I wanted to either open up a gym or a martial arts studio or something to do in the physical world, but that just kind of took off. So it was a very long road. You know, I spent a lot of years going through the world, but it was a great experience. Every step of the way was hands-on experience with me, because everybody, when they heard, oh, physical therapist, they immediately again thought I was a physical therapist. So, you know, friends, family, people, and I would be working on everything, not having a clue what I was doing, you know, for years, you know, and eventually I did become a real therapist, I think. So you know, and here we are today.
Yeah,
so yeah, and then it blended right in. You know, as a therapist, you can do anything. Like it's a physical world. So any sport, anything that has to do with physicality, anything that has to do with the human body can be addressed, you know, through the field. Yeah. So it just kind of linked in. And the funny thing with arm wrestling is, you know, PT and arm wrestling are intertwined with just about everything neurologic and physical. So I'm able to help a ton of arm wrestlers on the tables, off the tables, and I use arm wrestling concepts to help my patients, you know, with all the things that I'm doing. So it's a two-edged sword. I get to teach them and treat them how to be better, but I'm also arm wrestling practice while I'm fixing people.
Yeah. Some might say it goes hand in hand.
It really is. It's
fully intended.
Glorified hand holding all around. It's great.
Absolutely. No, and you know, as a massage therapist,
you're in the field.
15 years, I can really appreciate that this sport really does benefit from understanding body mechanics.
Oh, insane. Yeah, totally.
You know, and when you're looking to recover from the sport, understanding how to, hey, this is what I need to do with my body. This is where I need to stretch. This is where I need to strengthen and condition so that I can deal and address this ache and pain that I have going on here. Has helped not only me as an individual in sport, but helped me as, you know, part of a team and part of the community as a whole.
Yeah.
You know, and bringing to the light, you know, the benefits that we can actually provide is something that, you know, you've done a very good job at. You've helped me in previous years.
You kicked my butt now in that left arm. So
the left arm was you know, severely suffering, but now like it's on its incline and it's doing a lot better. So with that being said, somebody who's just starting out in the sport, right? We have experience. We have the benefit and the leg up, if you may, to others who are just starting out. We understand rehab and the importance of recovery.
Oh God, yeah.
What would your biggest piece of advice be to somebody just starting out?
So the most important lesson of arm wrestling is that everybody can arm wrestling if they practice safety first. So, and what that means is the second you get on the table, and you know, we grip up with somebody and you immediately know it's going to be a disaster because of either their wrists are off or their bones or something's not right. So for me, it's whenever I get a fresh one on the table, and this could be grandmothers, this is grandfathers, this is young kids, it doesn't matter who it is, it's teach them safety first. And once they know that they're going to be okay and they're protected, now you guide them through the lessons of arm wrestling. You know, that's the greatest, because everybody can arm wrestle, everyone. If you have arms. If you have arms.
If you have arms. That's minor detail right there, right?
That's minor
I mean, it is one of the few sports other than tag that every man and woman has actually participated in. If you think about it, you know, throughout our childhood,
everybody.
You just settle a dispute or an argument with a friend. You want to, you know, show your uncles or your father that, you know, you're the man. The house, you're going to arm wrestle them and try to defeat them. And, you know, so if we can actually impart, you know, that safety first is a priority.
100%.
I think that is one of the major components of how to build the sport up.
Yeah, it's just simply keep your eyes on your arm, like eye on the prize. You know, if you see what you're doing and you pay attention, you know, you're gonna have fun, right? Like you said, everybody can arm wrestle. It's not all ego, but it is all cult, which is great. The good cult,
the good kind of cult. Yeah, not so much on the esoteric stuff.
No, and Halloween arm wrestling is the best time for arm wrestling.
Oh my God, yes, so. It's the best time. Absolutely. I mean, you know. Well, while we're there, Devil of the Night, we're going to be on Thursday night, which happens to be my birthday.
I know. Happy birthday! My birthday's 2 days later.
There you go. So you're going to be that's what do they call that?
It's I think it's All Saints or All
Saints Day.
All something. All Souls Day. All Souls, All Saints. So they're
one of those. Yeah. My wife would kick my butt for not remembering that.
Well, listen, so that's why we're guys, right?
Yeah, right. So Devil of the Night on my birthday, October 30th, we're gonna have an event at the other training site that we have, which is located in Bayshore. It's gonna be like a spin-off of King of the Table.
Oh, interesting.
So we're gonna be doing it's gonna be a time compressed event where in an hour You have everyone lined up. You have to stay in order. Most pins wins. The last man at the table wins,
Oh,
and
man.
then the guy who's at the table longest also wins.
Oh,
That
wow.
can be one person can be all three, or there can be three different people for all three awards.
Yeah.
So it really creates a fun dynamic. A little chaotic, definitely going to be that, but it's going to be at the Major Arm Wrestling Championship table. And
That's
I look forward to seeing what kind of. I didn't come up with the idea myself. Matt Connolly, Hollywood, who's from Australia, he was visiting.
Yeah, he's a great dude.
He shared this idea, and I was like, I love that.
Well, we always do the king of the table. Like, so you at the end of most practices that we have, we'll say, okay, the last 5 or 10 minutes, depending on how many people, and you just go, and whoever is winning stays there, and whoever, it's just constant going. And God, this is going back a few years, but we used to have titles. I would buy trophies for Haven PT to say, king of the table. And oh man, it was a treat.
I actually don't have the actual awards, but we're going to be giving out this little award that's like a claw-like hand, right? That's on a plaque that you can mount it on your wall, or you can stand up with the other trophies. So it's actually a pretty cool, cool idea that came up that I fell in love with immediately.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So, all right. We know about arm wrestling. We know about your history as a physical therapist. Now, what was your inspiration? What is your inspiration in the sport of arm wrestling? Do you have any person or any entity that's like, this is why I keep doing it?
So every arm wrestler that is older than me will not allow me to quit. So I've already retired. When I turned 50, so I went down. I went to Mr. America, right arm, left arm, right, and I was like, oh, I'm 50. I was at the pinnacle of what I wanted to achieve, and I retired. And then, a year later, you guys know who you are. I got fat shamed into coming back in, and just browbeat for an entire tournament until I competed again at 51. So I took about 10 months off. It was the greatest 10 months of just relaxing. But then they're like, nope, right back in again. So, and now here I am going to be 52. And, it's just everybody inspires me that gets on that table. It's, and then it's, we arm wrestle for those who can't. So.
There you go. I like that.
Yeah,
we arm wrestle for those who can't.
Yeah, because there's
like
people.
That, guys. Hey, you gotta put that on a shirt. When you're in the shirt making.
Well, think about it. There's so many people out there that are repressed and afraid and all this stuff. And it's like we have this gift. We're strong. We're somewhat young, but we have. We're healthy. We're okay. So as long as we can do that, there's people out there fighting wars for us right now and doing stuff that I thank them all, for what we're doing. So if we can keep it on the home front, and they give them some kind of incentive to say, yeah, these guys are doing this and we're doing that. That's all the incentive in the world.
Absolutely. I definitely fully agree. I think we're actually having an audio issue. Sorry about that, guys. Maybe this microphone. Maybe that'll be better.
Can we type all the words?
I hope so. Do we have what was that, a typograph or whatever?
There should be like when we speak.
It runs across the bottom. I wait to close caption. Yeah, I mean that's going to be in a recording.
Oh, okay.
But hopefully, because it's live stream, it's not the technology.
We're alive.
We're alive, man. Now we got 3 people, tuned in right now. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you have any questions for Matt, please feel free to go ahead and enter them in. So, your overall life journey, arm wrestling seems to have kind of intertwined and meshed itself with it. Is there any other outstanding things that it's actually had an impact on your life, like by being a part of the community?
Oh yeah, the community is everything. It just keeps you grounded. When you're grounded and you have purpose in life, you keep going. And the more you give, the more you get. So I just keep giving. I give everything. Give everything away. So when I come to these events, I'll do some of my PT skills on people. I'll teach them on the tables. Whatever they need. Try to give them everything without asking anything in return. So.
One of the things that I've learned is that when I have somebody who I can see that they're not operating necessarily in the best physical form they could, it reminds me of what I'm lacking sometimes. So it's a refresher course for me. Like, whoa, you're gonna hurt yourself. And somebody goes, well, I saw you just do that last week.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a bad habit that I should not be doing. let me correct that now while I still have a chance to do so before I injure myself.
Yeah, and all like when you get on, that's the best thing too about arm wrestling is your losses teach you so many lessons more than the wins. Like the wins are great, and you get the gold, and I chase the medal. That's just it's the greatest part about arm wrestling. It's to just chase the medal. But those losses, my God, it just burns you inside because you just if you did this right, or you just did and it's on and on and on. So those are the best lessons of arm wrestling. So. For all those people who are afraid of losing, that's what makes us who we are. You have to lose to be great, and that's it.
You gain directions.
Yeah, 100%.
When you lose, right? And they're free.
Yeah, 100%.
You don't pay for them. Then of course you pay the entry fee, whatever. Maybe may have it, but overall, it's a small price to pay for learning something, and something like you had mentioned the ideology earlier on that you have gained from arm wrestling.
Oh my God, it's huge.
And you apply it to some of your clients in physical therapy. So tell us a little bit about that. Like, what are some things that you have learned in arm wrestling that has helped impact how you treat people?
So everything is about your presence, right? If you have the presence of being a victor and not a victim, you people feel that energy, so they want to know who you are, they want to know what you're doing, they want to know why you're doing, so that's the greatest lesson too, is when you're winning, you have that demeanor. When you're losing, people come up to you, even the guys that just pounded you on the table, and they're like, hey, let me show you why you lost, or let me show you this little trick. So the community of arm wrestling is, to me, one of the most incredible bounties. And I was just talking to guys overseas now. I got guys in the Philippines, guys in China. Just pick a country, guys from Australia now who are just here.
Yeah.
So the brotherhood, the sisterhood is massive. And you can call somebody up or email them or Facebook and say, hey, I'm thinking about coming to Puerto Rico or the Philippines. You guys going to be having a practice? And now you've got this whole floodgate. They want to invite you to the house. They want you to meet the family, so it's the community and to be a part of something that's the world is amazing. And, if there's aliens out there with more than 2 arms, then we're in trouble. But, again, the sky's the limit, right? So
that's true.
Yeah,
that's the truth.
Oh, man.
Heaven forbid. I mean, would it be arm wrestling more than 1 arm at a time?
I'm afraid of you watch Avatar, they're 14 feet tall. What chance do any of us have against a 14-footer? But,
we got the Levons out there. We have the Brian Shaws.
Right.
I know Brian Shaw's got some time before he gets really, really good, but the time's coming. The time's coming.
Yeah,
I think
it's going to be scary when he's.
Oh my God! When he's fully invested, I don't think he's not that he's not fully invested, but when he's got his,
he needs seasoning.
Yeah, exactly. He gets that ripened age, 3-4 years in the sport. I think that's going to be a game changer for the sport. Oh man. So let's see. Do we have any questions? Nope, nobody over there. So, what are your short-term goals in the sport?
Oh, I've literally accomplished everything I want out of the sport itself. Now it's just give back. Anybody that has questions, anybody has anything, if they want to know something on the table. And again, I'm promoting healing through the sport, right? Because we all get hurt, we all get injured, and then what happens is we compound the injuries, right? These little nuances. But I'll do it next. We don't rest enough, and now we're in trouble. So in the new age of peptides and electroacoustic healing and all these things that we can do, we can actually repair faster and heal faster, but you're still putting yourself at a great risk for injuries, right? Absolutely. So it's trying to, the short-term goal is always, helping people to pay attention to what is happening, pay attention to your mechanics, pay attention to what your body's telling you, and get that rest, because it's so important.
There's nothing that can replace rest. I always thought that I can sit there with like a microwave treatment type of deal and sit there and say, hey, if I just punch in the microwave, it's going to have that result. But there's going to be hot spots. There's going to be cold spots, right? Not everything is going to be as universal as you want it or as quick or as rapid.
Yeah. So,
patience, one of the things people say, oh, you're going to miss out on this event. There's always next year.
Yeah.
There's always next year.
Oh, yeah.
We have, I'm going to be in the sport for as long as I possibly can.
Yeah.
God willing, that my body and my arms and my resolve is
just at the Mr. America. There was guys in their 70s and they're
still
pulling hard.
Milk Christmas.
Yeah.
He's a prime example.
Right. Like
that dude's been pulling since I think the early 60s and 70s, maybe even earlier.
Yeah. It's been a long time. And so that's why I say any of us that say, oh, I've had enough in the sport. No, you haven't. If you have, just now spend time helping somebody to be there, and give that knowledge to somebody, because you can't sleep in this sport. You gotta give back.
That brings up a very interesting point. So this is a little bit of a bittersweet episode because this month is actually going to be marking a step back for me.
Oh,
After the month of November, I'm stepping back from the podcast, stepping back from competing for a little bit of time, not forever. It's kind of like an off-season type of deal.
yeah, everybody, you got to.
Because in your line of sight of resting and taking time off, because the brutal impact that this sport has on our life, physical being and mental and emotional being sometimes can be wear and tear. So like you have brought today, we're going to be showing this later on, something called the soft wave, which is tissue regenerative technology.
Yeah.
This stuff is transformative. I've yet to experience it, and those who have been my viewers for any length of time know that I'm all about the innovative cutting edge of technology when it comes to healing and restoration. So the reason why I say it's a little bit bittersweet is because this will be the last episode probably for the next 4 months or so.
Oh,
so this is going to be one of the last episodes. Going into November. November will be the final month of it.
Yeah.
As November, we have a couple of things. We'll talk about that in a moment. Yeah. A couple of things coming down the pipeline. And a very active month for me.
Yeah, definitely.
But the importance of taking a rest means that I'm not stopping. I'm not ending it. I'm going to continue coming to practices. I'm going to continue being a source point where people say, hey, how do I do this? Who can I train with? How do I recover? Or who do I speak to about getting better, and getting rehabilitation? And maintaining that level of communication is something that network is one of my long-term goals.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you, so from last November when I was at the World Series out in San Diego last year, World Series of Arm Wrestling, I got absolutely mauled. And I was just coming off, I think I had fractured my elbow or something was bad. And then I was totally aggravated there. And then my wrist on the other, so from that time until just recently, I had taken a break. I was, practicing training, but I mean, the pain gets pretty crazy. And that's with healing time, resting. You just gotta, so for a guy north of 50, it took me a little longer than I planned, but, I'm back in there and, and like we talked about on the phone, now instead of me trying to arm wrestle in a tournament or an event every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, it's like I'm trying to do either one a month or one every other month to really give myself that healing time. Because you just, I want to make it to the end. I don't want to be all trick. And I still have all my range and, I'm good to go. Yeah, when you start losing the range, it's like, I want to be able to have those elbows and stuff. So, it's just take the time to heal. Get everything in check, and it's
exactly.
We come back stronger.
Come back stronger than ever, and that's the whole plan. Because there's a lot of cool things that are coming down the pipeline. One of those really cool things. Before I jump into that, long-term goals. What do you have in plan for the next 5 years? Let's say for the sport of arm wrestling.
I'm going to be traveling interstate now, so I'm going to be between Connecticut, New York, Florida, and California.
Oh,
so
wow.
Yeah, so with this technology, you'll kind of travel and work in different environments. So with that, it's just going to different places and teaching people about arm wrestling as well, because it's just fun. Like everywhere I go, it's arm wrestling and physical therapy. So it's just get it out there and have fun with people and just watching and inspiring people to be a part of what has made me I think a better person through this. So it's just spread the word, and that's the long-term goal is just keep doing what I love to do until I can't do it anymore.
Listen, I respect the mission. I respect the man on a mission as well. I think it's a very impactful and influential way to kind of inspire others to say, hey, look, I'm not done.
No
one ever is, right?
No. And even when you are done, if you can get your arm to any table, you're not done, so you could be on your deathbed, when it's your last breath. But if the nurse says, put that arm on that table, you're going out the heart, so you do it because if you have an arm, you can arm wrestle.
I saw recently that somebody had an arm wrestling table at their wedding.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I showed that to my wife, and she goes, if you do that, I will have divorce papers waiting for you. So maybe not in every capacity of life will we have arm wrestling.
Yes. Like my daughter calls it as glorified thumb wrestling. So it's, she's always on my case about it. But I said, listen, this is what keeps us going. We're not boring, I'll tell you that much.
Uh-oh. Robert Kelly's in New York City already? Uh-oh, you thought it was this weekend? Uh-oh, it is not this weekend. Challenger Series is next. Hey, what's up, Victor? We got the people started.
Oh, cool. So
we have the Drew 24. What's up, man? Thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions for Matt, please feel free to put them in the chat. So what we got coming down the pipeline? One of the things is MAC, Major Arm Wrestling Championship. Ian Carnegie, JJ Jackson, Matthias Bedard, and Dan Ciccella, who's one of my new training partners, as well as Robert Kelly. We're bringing to downstate New York the very first Challenger Series, which is a pathway of progression to be on a MAC numbered event, which ultimately they have another event coming up this weekend. We'll talk, not this weekend, next month, which I'll talk about that in a little bit. But the Challenger Series is an event that we have going on here. Going to be here on site at this location on November 8th. It is going to be. We have about 30 super matches.
I saw that. Yeah, that's a lot of matches.
There's a lot. But if you ever watched any of the MAC events, like a true MAC event with MAC refs, MAC rules, MAC on the MAC table, it's super fast. It's one of the fastest formats, if not the fastest. I know there's somebody here who's going to disagree with that, but it is one of the fastest events that I have been a part of, if not the fastest. And we'll be done with 30 super matches in about 2.5 hours.
That's nice. Are they having 3 tables? Is that what you're saying?
We're going to have 2 tables.
Yeah.
We're going to have 2 tables. So that's going to be 15 on each table.
Yeah.
Essentially going on simultaneously. And then after that, we're going to have another power hour concept like we're doing here on my birthday. We're going to run that back, and then we're going to have a small tournament. And we'll have all that within like 6 to 8 hours of a full arm wrestling festival style of the day here. Nice. And this is a nice enough venue. And if we'll be in another room later on during our practice to show it. And also demonstrate. Yeah, you'll see Matt's device in action later on, and so we're going to be having that. These people who do exceptionally well at the event are going to be recognized and sought after for a MAC event.
That's pretty nice.
They are pay-per-view events, whether it be an undercard or part of the main event. And then other super matches will be considered for these people and these individuals because they are truly showing what they can do. And we're giving them the platform opportunity to do so. Yeah,
I was just when I was down at the Mr. America recently, they had the MAC, it was a MAC event. So they had the tables. It was the first time I'd ever seen the tables or been on them. So it's very, very interesting. It's definitely fresh. So as more people get used to how that works and how those rules are, I think it'll definitely pick up.
I think it changes the game.
It is. You have to really think about what you're doing because you have that ability to lift a little bit and move a little bit. You got a little bit more space and, it's pretty cool.
It's better for the viewability of the people who are watching, right? Yeah. Spectators can understand it a little bit more. That there's not so much happening by way of the start either. There's not much time wasted. Right?
That's a biggie with the starts.
That's a huge thing. I've seen matches start. It takes 20 minutes to start the match. And it's like for a 5-second match. It's like waiting online at Disney. You're like, for the 5-second roller coaster ride, you're waiting an hour for it. Like, what the hell are we doing here?
It's a little silly.
So that's one of the things I really greatly appreciate about the MAC format. And one of the other cool things about the MAC format is that they're actually implementing it in something called Team Arm Wrestling Federation, also known as TOF. Mm-hmm. TOF is something that Jason Constantini out of Canada, Table Monkeys, one of the Table Monkeys founders, with his partner Alex Kiri, they're doing this Team Arm Wrestling event. And they take 4 cities from Canada and 4 cities from the U.S.
That's pretty sick.
Or regions, if you may. And they're pulling arm wrestlers from each of those regions to represent. They're only utilize 2 of them for each of the weight classes they have. And it's going to be city versus city. And it's going to be strategy. There's going to be gambling. There's going to be it pretty much takes the concept of NFL and arm wrestling and mashes it up into one.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And guess what? We're going to be a part of it here on Long Island. We're going to have Team Long Island going into next year. So that's going to be kicking off in May.
That's going to be a lot of Long Islanders coming out for that one.
Well, it's not just going to be Long Islanders, but it's going to be the entire
tri-state.
northeast region, from like as far down south as like maybe even Maryland or even Ohio, going all the way over to Maine.
So anybody who wants to drive to Long Island to compete
that's one of the cool things is that this is going to be, it is crowdfunded. and we are actually still actively looking for investors. And the website here will bring you to more information about that. But
That's pretty crazy.
this format is something that I'm actually taking a break for because they actually have an on season. It's a 14-week season.
Okay, yeah. So it's
So-
like Game of Arms when it was back in
Yes.
13. Yeah.
It's
It's about
gonna-
time something like that came on.
But it's with a little bit more structure, a little
Yeah,
more
yeah.
sensibility. And let's say you're the light guy pulling up 2 weight classes, you get like 2 extra points for winning
Oh,
or beating your match.
okay.
If you're the captain, you get another point. So it's a point-based system.
Okay.
There's a scoreboard. There's something you can keep track of and understand. And if you've never seen the sport
No,
before,
I haven't. Yeah, that's
but
different.
I'm saying like if for somebody who's never seen the sport at all of arm wrestling, can actually see this, witness it, and understand the sport better than you and I when we first started watching it.
Oh, definitely.
So that makes a big game changer for.
Yeah. When I started watching arm wrestling back in the 70s, why World of Sports? I'd watch it with my father and my grandfather. And, it was just 2 giant humans and just one guy tries to go this way, one guy tries to go that way. That was it. I didn't know anything about the science of arm wrestling, but, fast forward, from 2013, I know an awful lot of science now. So,
So somebody actually came up has a great question. Victor Clearwater, what's up, man?
hey, what's up, Vic?
How do you try out? How do you get considered to be on Team Arm Wrestling Federation? Well, the number one way is going to be going to a MAC Challenger Series or a MAC a MAC Challenger Series or a no elimination tournament. Because that I ran my first no elimination
Yeah.
tournament. Were you there
No,
over the
I
summer?
was on vacation.
So we're gonna have another one between now and then we'll have another one. So we have 2 no elimination tournaments. That's pretty much how you get your name recognized. If you're an exceptional arm wrestler from the region and you're killing it, you're doing well, regularly killing it, keeping a name for yourself, you're going to be put into what's called the draft pool. And the draft pool is going to be something that's going to be looked at by the team manager and the team captain, and you're going to be picked essentially
That's
like
pretty cool.
draft day.
Yeah,
deal.
that's
And
pretty cool.
so it's a very similar feel to the NFL, right? The NFL draft picks type of deal. And so like that, talk about like a really
That's
cool
wild, yeah. That
experience
is a
that
wild experience.
you can get behind not just one individual athlete. Hey, that guy's from my town. I can get behind that team now because they're representing my town or my neighborhood or whatever you may
That's
have it.
intense, man. That's going to be a good spot.
I'm loving the idea. The overall concept of it is amazing. But one of the other higher levels that you get to grow into is November 29th. Not only am I going to be going down to my own event, but there's another event, Ian Carnegie and Global Elite Arm Wrestling. The one of the top levels of arm wrestling in Canada. They're running a pay-per-view through Ticketmaster.
People are getting out there, man.
They're getting out there.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the first times arm wrestling's been on Ticketmaster.
Right.
These guys are going to be pay-per-view high-level event and going to be in Toronto, right? They're going to be in Ticketmaster. There's going to be the venue itself is gorgeous. One of the nicest looking venues I think I've ever seen in arm wrestling. I will be excited to say that I think one of my teammates is going to be there. Our buddy Paul Cruz is on the card there.
I know. I just saw his match. Yeah.
Yep, he's got a match going up against Pork Chop, and I think Pork Chop is in a world of hurt because Paul Cruz is an absolute monster.
That's the king of New York right there.
Yep, he's an absolute monster, top dog. And I gotta say, I'm looking forward to seeing what he does there because it's gonna be fun for him. Finally to be on a MAC table, competing in a MAC format. I know he's been all over the place and killing it. He's I think this upcoming weekend, he's going to be
the World Series.
He's going to be at the World Series over in San Diego. So we wish him the best of luck. All of Long Island, all of New York, all of Tri-State. We hope that Paul Cruz kills it and represents us well. And then also November 29th, I have my own super match.
Yes, you do.
I got my work cut out for me.
Yes, you do.
With none other than Jake Houston at the Monster Factory, which I'm excited as all hell about. Thank you for everyone involved in making that happen. Specifically, more so, Robert Kelly. Appreciate you having the whisperings that you spread for me. You're a good man.
Well, you've earned it, man. You've done really good things, so it's fun to watch, and we're all behind you.
I'm happy to be a part of it. Happy to represent New York as well as Long Island, more specifically. Um, so, any questions for me before we continue the interview?
Well, which arm are you all seasoned up from yesterday? Let's what are we fixing later
So
today?
yesterday I had the pleasure of going to train with Storm Chelino, Dustin Jetliff, Roger Learned, Miguel Fernandez.
Roger's going out to I think the
Monster
Monster Factory
Factory
too,
as well,
so
yeah. So
and Roger's he just unified the national title, I think, on the left arm.
Yep,
So.
that dude is amazing. His left has gotten healed up real well from that godforsaken break that he had.
Well, Roger gives me a cleansing every time we get on the table, so it's he's definitely for real.
He's no joke. He's no joke. He was like he's a really good training partner.
Yeah, he's fun.
Very good training partner. My right arm feels beat to hell because of those guys. I gotta say, I don't know what they're feeding them in PA.
Yeah,
they're a different breed of arm wrestlers.
That's good stuff.
And then when I was ready to pack everything up and leave, I said, whoa, where are you going? We got our post-training workout. And I'm like, what?
Usually it's a pre-training workout.
Yeah. And I was like, wait, what? And I said, yeah. And I was like, oh, man, I'm just going to fall. I had a 3-hour ride home. How am I going to drive?
Yeah.
And I was like, they got to have teeth in the other arm.
That's hysterical.
So I feel like that I'm very well prepared going into this. I'm as prepared as I can ever be. But now it's time to recover. Now it's time to kind of taper things down a little bit. I think I'm going to be, after this week of arm wrestling, it's going to be a taper down slowly and surely. That way I'm all healed up and ready to go.
You don't want any questions about that arm going into things like this.
No, definitely not. I'm not taking this guy lightly. Jake Houston is no joke. He's got quite the accolades. He's been in the sport for some time, and he is a strong-handed arm wrestler. Like I've heard he's got a strong hand that will make my work a little more difficult. Which I like the challenge. I'm not one to shy from that.
That's the cool thing in arm wrestling, is you try to, if you can think fast enough and feel through the hand fast enough, and you can pick up your opponent's weakness fast enough, you've got a good chance of making a good show on the table, and that's the best part. And win or lose, the show is it's you put everything you got there, and if you win, great. If you lose, we had to look next time. But it's for the fans, it's for everybody that's there. You made it to the big time, and it's like, now show what you got. And there is no, as long as you keep your head up high going in and coming out, you've already won. So that's the beauty of this sport. Everybody, it's win or lose. It's just an elite group of us that can get in here and really go to that level. And then, again, come back and teach everybody. Everybody's looking at you like, oh my God, you did it. Yeah, I might not have been the greatest, or yes, I am the greatest. We know some guys that are the greatest, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, even them, they're the most humble people in the world to come back and teach, what they know, and say, if you work hard and you do what we do, you can be here someday, So that's the coolest.
Consistency pays off.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that is the driving force that will continuously provide the results you're looking for and yield the best ones. I mean, coming into the sport, I know we talked about this a few times before. I was overweight. I was 270 pounds.
You were
I was a whole lot of Billy entering the room before the rest of me did.
Right.
And the weight classes gave my weight loss goals actual direction. And those were the biggest first wins for me.
Yeah,
making a weight class, making that, like, stepping on the scale and being happy that, oh my God, I can breathe now.
Right. And look at how you feel. It's amazing, the difference.
And then everything else has just been added bonuses to that. So, well, Matt, I have one final question. This is my personal favorite. What is one piece of information about you that arm wrestlers may not know?
About me?
Yeah. I know you're an open book about most things.
I totally am. Oh, wow. Geez. I'm just not a closed book. So
maybe something about your past, your childhood. Old hobby of yours. That was
probably the only thing that's worth knowing is I was a sick kid, and now I'm not. So physically sick, but now I'm mentally sick. So, but if you strive, again, no, because if people look at me and they say, I don't consider myself a large person, or strong or anything like that, but it's one of those cool things where you came from nothing and then you're something. So that's it.
Absolutely.
That's the best thing. So if you didn't know that I was nobody before and you still think I'm nobody now, well, you're probably right in both instances. But
Well, you're definitely not nobody, because this gentleman, I want to replug his the website. I know it's going to be going through some updates, but this gentleman is directly responsible for helping me get to the Monster Factory, helping us throw off the Challenger Series that we're having here November 8th here at the Fit Factory. So please check this guy out. He is so eager to help arm wrestlers across the board by way of recovery, by way of getting them in the limelight that they deserve. We all need support like this gentleman provides. He always provides support. Anytime I call him, I speak to him. He's an open-ended individual that allows for me to actually get things off my chest.
Yeah.
So
just give till it hurts. That's it. And
well,
keep giving.
You know what? In order to keep what you have, you got to give it away.
You have to. It's the only way to receive. You have to give.
Yeah, that's the only way. That the greatest gifts that I've ever gotten was because I was giving somebody else something, and I was not anticipating. And I was like, hey, let me just reach out to a couple people and ask them. All of a sudden, I'm getting given a whole bunch of things.
Because you don't know what's there until you ask. And you don't know what's there until you go out. You get out of your house and do it. That's it.
Well, Matt, I'm looking forward to receiving the treatment in a little bit. I'm going to come back. We'll be back live when the practice starts, which the people should be showing up shortly, and we're going to go from there. Look forward to seeing everybody. The next one, remember, this next month is going to be my last month of podcast. The next episode will probably be just before November 8th, so next Sunday. And then we'll be wrapping things up at the end of the month. I look forward to seeing each and every one of you again at the next event. Please come with questions. Please let me know if you want to come on the show and share what you got going on. Massive thanks to Matt again.
Thanks. And I would just like to do one plug. It's ItalianHands.com. It's my brother's company. He actually helps fund some of the things that we do.
Okay.
So ItalianHands.com. It's if you're Italian or you just love Italians, it's a beautiful site to go to.
Definitely gonna check that out.